After every Wuthering Waves patch, I'm going to go ahead and sit down with about half a dozen other Wuthering Waves content creators to discuss the patch, to discuss the characters, the story, everything. This is going to be a recurring podcast series uploaded to this channel where I attempt to kind of bridge the gap between communities, where I can sit down and help lessen the toxicity, lessen the tribalism, lessen the hate between gacha communities and within the gacha genre overall. Because let's be honest, not just in Wuwa, but in gacha, there is so much malicious intent, so much malicious content being spread, and so many people just attacking one another. I don't want to do that. I want to sit here and relax, chill, and enjoy video games, enjoy gacha games, and more specifically, enjoy Wuthering Waves with all of you and discussing it with all of you. This new podcast series is titled The Rover Cast, which I know is incredibly creative. We have 6 different content creators today to sit down and discuss patch 3.0 and 3.1 with. I thought this was the perfect opportunity. We have Erusha, we have Ryuuku Sensei, we have Comfyrini, we have Zora, we have Sevy, and we have Unrealdreamer. These are 6 content creators a lot of people like that have varying opinions on multiple different patches of the game, but the current patch more specifically. So let's go ahead and jump right in. If you do not follow these content creators on social media, make sure you go ahead and do so.
Oh, we're starting with me. Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Erusha. I am a trilingual voice actress and a VTuber who is also a content creator. I stream a lot of gacha games, mostly Wuwa and PGR. Nice to meet you. I speak English, Japanese, and Mandarin Chinese.
That is awesome.
Nice to meet you. That is amazing. PGR too. PGR mentioned.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Heck yeah.
All right, Rini.
Hi everyone, my name is Comfyrini, but you can call me Rini. I mostly make Wuthering Waves content, but I do dabble into other gachas such as ZZZ and Honkai Star Rail. I'm a huge lore enthusiast, and I am obsessed with Jinchi from Wuthering Waves. And yeah, nice to meet you all.
Solid choice, honestly. Ryuuku.
Yep, my name is Ryuuku Sensei. I also live in Japan. I'm not trilingual, I'm only bilingual. I do apologize about that. I speak English and Japanese. I know, right? I cover mainly Wuthering Waves at the moment, but I'm really interested in covering other games like also NT right now with closed beta tests I'm really enjoying, and other games like Silver Palace, and I also like playing other games off stream like Duet Night Abyss and a bunch of others as well. Yeah, I mainly do either my own opinions and stories.
He died.
Yeah. He's dead.
I thought a left swallowed you for a second. I was like, no, come back.
I thought it was just me.
Cut for a second.
Why did it always happen when it's the right time?
It was like half a second.
During your introduction, yeah.
How far did I get?
You got up to the point where, yeah, like where you were like, hey, I'm Ryuuku Sensei and I'm planning an What Japan Thinks of NTE video. So.
Yeah, okay. I'll play a bunch of different games. I'll try and get quicker. Played a bunch of different games. I've been playing gacha since they first came out in Japan. I know all sorts of different things, and I try and put like what does Japan think about the certain things into my videos as well, and be as like, educational as possible.
All right, Sevy.
Cool. Hi, I'm Sevy. I'm kind of new to Wuwa. I started last August, September. It's been really fun, and I do play other gacha games. My longtime other one's been Genshin. But aside from that, my offline current obsession is Star Sand Island. It's a cozy game.
I want to play that game.
I really like it. Yeah, that's it.
I actually saw the ad for that a little while ago, and it looked very cute.
Yeah, it's fun.
Did you ever play Rune Factory or Stardew Valley? Or
I'm a Stardew girl. Like
okay.
I'm a Stardew girl, but not an Animal Crossing girl. But then Star Sand Island, I feel like it's good for the Genshin crowd who want to try cozy games because it has like the 3D cel shaded format. Yeah.
Nice.
All right, UD.
I am a raging ADHD golden retriever attention span content creator, a little obnoxious, very loud. Like to geek out about cool anime characters, whether it's Wuthering Waves, Enfield recently has been a big hyperfixation, Genshin Impact, Star Rail, ZZZ, we gotta get caught up, it's been a while. And every now and then we'll dip into the side games like PGR and Arknights. But yeah.
Yo, you play almost half as many gacha games as I do.
Wait, you play double the amount of that? I gotta step up my game. I didn't realize there was that much variety on the channel, man.
Yo, I play
like 7 or 8 right now.
I play about
Damn.
16, 17 every week.
Okay, but
How?
you got
How?
like 2
Talent.
games that take up 90%, and then the rest is 10, right?
I mean, I play Nikkei is my main game. OG Arknights, now Arknights Enfield, Wuthering Waves. I
Okay.
play Guardian Tales, Path to Nowhere, Snowbreak, PGR.
Have to know where. Let's go. All right.
Oh god.
No
What else do I
ads
have?
go crazy.
Dude, they have changed
Oh, yeah.
so much.
Bro,
Unbelievably.
Yeah.
I've seen the clips. I'm like, damn, y'all getting wild over there.
Okay, Zora.
I'm Zora. I just came back from a long break to content creation. I live in Denmark, so if my accent is bad, I'm sorry. I speak English, I speak Danish, I also speak Arabic.
Ooh.
And
Arabic,
I play,
okay.
Yeah. And I play. I started playing Nikkei. That was my first gacha game ever. And I started doing content creation for Honkai Star Rail, and now it's Wuthering Waves. Those are my main games, and I'm trying
Nice.
to branch out a little bit. I'm still trying to figure out my place in the gacha space. So, yeah.
That's actually very cool.
Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to
Yeah.
meet you.
It is an absolute honor having everyone here for this. Also, is my audio too loud or too low?
It's good for me.
No, you sound great.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well, let's just jump right in since we're already 30 minutes technically into this. How we're gonna do this is we're gonna go like around the board, and each person can give their thoughts, and then after each person's individual thoughts, we could just like discuss anything that needs discussed, or just move along to the next person. That way, hopefully, no real interruptions. That way, we give each person a chance to actually speak, and it doesn't become 8 people all just like yelling over one another for attention.
That's
Okay.
the fun type. I'm kidding.
I mean, it definitely can be. All right, so we'll just go ahead and start with what we thought of the introduction to La Haroi. So the opening of 3.0 and the entirety of 3.0. I don't want to dwell too long on 3.0 because I think there's a lot more to unbox with 3.1. But
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and just start this off by saying that 3.0, a lot of people thought was kind of slow, and some people thought was boring. But I thought as like a foundation, like as a building to future patches, it was quite good. I was okay with a slower burn personally. And I think it gave us a good look into all the characters that are coming. And I don't think it was as packed necessarily with like epic moments as 2.0 was. But
For sure.
I think still 3.0 had a lot of very smooth parts to it that kind of like transitioned very nicely into 3.1 without overwhelming people. But what did each of you think about 3.0? Starting with Erusha, of course.
All right. Well, I thought it was a really good introduction to La Haroi, and they really upgraded the cinematics, I feel like. Because
Yeah.
even 2.8 was already incredible, I feel like, in terms of the visual presentation. And I think in 3.0, they just upgraded it even more, like the micro expressions of the characters, and just the way the camera work and music and everything came together to visually present the world, I think was absolutely phenomenal. Yeah.
I completely agree. It was like aesthetically, I think though the world was such a departure from what we had in like Septimont and even all of the 2.x patches and the 1.x patches, and it was really cool seeing how bright and vibrant it was too though. What do you think, Rainy?
Okay, so I really loved the introduction to La Haroi, but okay, I have these discussions with my community all the time. We always give our thoughts and opinions on like how we think like each quest goes and stuff like that. So I will say, from my perspective, I loved the world building, and I loved like the introduction as a whole. I loved the whole Heliotic 6 arc and stuff like that. But I will say, I understand why people had their issues with 3.0. And I think it mostly comes down to the pacing. And I also think, unfortunately, they tried to pack a lot into one quest. So for some players, it may be overwhelming. Because as like a lore content creator, like I'm always analyzing the lore, but I recognize that like not everyone has the same kind of like perspective on things, especially when they're engaging with like the quest as a whole. So I can understand why people may have been a little bit overwhelmed, but also underwhelmed, because there was a lot of information that was given to us. But as a whole, I really, really loved it. I really love like the mythology behind the, as I said, the Heliotic 6. That was probably my favorite part of the quest. But yeah.
I think it's actually a good contrast, so having a lore content creator in here, because you're probably going to talk about things and perceive things differently to a lot of us. So
yeah, I mean, I try to see like everyone's perspective, because I really hate like lore elitists, because I feel like that's a very rampant thing in the community, where they're like, oh, how could you not remember this one little detail from this like side quest that no one did? Like I hate that so much. So that's why I do what I do, because I want to make the lore in the game accessible to everyone and not be super overwhelming.
And you do a great job of it too, so we all appreciate that. Ryuuku.
Yeah, with 3.0, I think like the contrast between 3.0 and 3.1 is, with 3.0 is mainly an introduction to Lahairoi as a region than it was an introduction to the Lahairoi story. I think that's what people were getting like the wires crossed on what it was. Like people going into 3.0, they were expecting like, okay, this is when the story starts to hit, but it really didn't like hit the ground running on that. So it was mainly like just setting up the area and like how things work in this region, like mainly to do with like the motorcycle and getting to different places, and then setting up the certain things like the building blocks for what would, I can assume, would eventually become bigger parts in the later parts of the story. I think that's why people had certain issues, and like I had certain issues with 3.0 for like similar reasons but different as well. But I think that is mainly the main reason why people had such an underwhelming response to 3.0, because it set up a lot of good stuff, but it just depends on like how you look at it, like setting up either the world or setting up the story, because this is something that Kuro can sometimes struggle with. Like they focus and they like zero in on setting up this one thing, and it feels like a lot of other stuff gets left by the wayside. And I think that sometimes they can get it right, but sometimes it just feels like they get tunnel vision on like, okay, we want to set up this region, and then they kind of forget to bring the story in a bit, to weave it in a bit better. But again, compared to 3.1, where I do feel like the story does pick up a lot more, and I think that's where a lot of people were really hoping for as well. So like, yeah, I enjoyed it, but there were certain like weaknesses that you can definitely point out.
So what I'm getting is that from your perspective, you believe that people were expecting something more like 2.0, which was very grandiose in scale with a lot of epic moments, and 3.0 didn't deliver on that because they were instead trying to set up the world rather than that kind of epic scene.
Yeah, because like in 3.1, we had more like of all the characters. Like we had not cameos, like we had Lucilla in there, Sigrika, and then Luke, and then not so much in Linnea, if I remember correctly, but like we had more characters in 3.1 than it was in 3.0. So it was like mainly setting up the region in 3.0, then setting up the actual story and characters in 3.1. I think that was the big difference.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Sevy?
So I agree with a lot of what Ryuuku said, but I also am confused as to why they couldn't like put Lucilla and Sigrika in 3.0, like even to just show up
the
for
tunnel vision. It really is.
Yeah. It's that. So there's that. Like that was one thing that I had with it. So overall, I found it like enjoyable and entertaining, but it didn't feel like I didn't get invested into it at that point, because one, the first quest and the second part of the quest of 3.0, they both felt like they followed the same formula of like banner character comes in, you spend some time with them, a problem comes in, banner character tries to resolve it and then that simultaneously tries to resolve their like internal character struggle, and then they get in trouble, and then they're like close to dying, and then Rover has to save them, and then they don't actually die, and then like things are okay towards the end. So I felt like both of them kind of followed that same formula, and when it got to Mornier, when Mornier's half of that, I was kind of like, this is kind of the same thing. And the thing is, individually as characters, they are nice characters. I actually liked Mornier's like backstory, especially like with her disability. And I thought they're interesting characters. But then if you don't care all that much about the characters, because they did tunnel vision in onto that, it wasn't as like exciting. And it is true that I think 3.0 kind of lived in the shadow of 2.0, wherein I would have expected a similar type of setup, but then, with like the school setting and undertone would have made it fun. But then they didn't do that. They instead started with, here are two characters that you can get attached to, and they might introduce you to the world. And the Heliotic 6, actually, I think that would have been a really nice point of, starting point to introduce the world. And if they had leaned into that more, it would have been less tunnel visioned on the banner characters. And I feel like the Heliotic 6, it sounds like, or it seems big enough to hopefully play a bigger part or a bigger role in future parts of the story. But my thing with 3.0 that I had issues with, it felt like a lot of the struggles and conflicts that they started there, they also rushed to end in the same version instead of like carrying a lot of it over to 3.1. So 3.1, we'll get to it later, but I felt like the consequences of 3.1 seem like they'll cascade better into the next versions. But 3.0, it felt really isolated in the way that they tried to resolve almost everything in one go.
Episodic, I think is the word.
Yeah.
I get that. UD, what do you think?
Okay, so I'm probably going to be on the hot take here. I actually really enjoyed 3.0, and I think it did a lot for the narrative, but Kuro games in general, especially if you've played Punishing Gray Raven, they do this thing that I've also noticed a lot of Chinese writers in the gacha space does, where a lot of you guys mentioned they kind of hyper-focus on one aspect, and then they will then hyper-focus on aspect B, and then C, and then D, and then after they get to F across 6 patches, they connect everything in one patch on the next one, right? And that's pretty common. But one hot take I have is a lot of people said that 3.0 is very banner character focused, which that is kind of a gacha game thing. But I believe the Linné part was actually significantly better than the Mornier part, even though cinematically and quality, Mornier was really good. A lot of people don't mention the fact that Linné's whole character narrative was supposed to set up 2 things. One, to parallel the relationship between the Academy, Rover, and the Fraxidius, because Linné's relationship with taking over the original identity of the other Linné, and then her having to deal with the Fraxidius in real time while trying to hide her identity from the Academy, but then also setting up what Academy school life looks like at the same time. That way, when we get to 3.1, there's no question as to what the school life looks like for Immeth, because that was built off of what that looks like for Linné. And then when we talk about the Fraxidius in 3.1, that was also already built off of with Linné as well. So I thought the Linné part, that first half, was actually really great and necessary for the narrative, but it's easy to be like, oh, this is just a Linné quest and not pay attention to like how that, goes into the main narrative. Mornier was gorgeous. Mornier was like watching a episodic, just 10 out of 10, 3-hour movie experience. And it definitely set up some of the issues and core problems that pops up in the Academy in the next patch, but it was mostly focused on like Rover's past relationship with Mornier, and I do feel like they could have done more there. But then at the same time, like they were trying to show the problem that Rover keeps making, which is not making an active effort in knowing what he's done in the past, and then the consequences of leaving his past behind, which pops up again with Immeth, right? So I do think they could have improved Mornier. I thought Linnae was geniusly crafted, but it's definitely easy to get distracted and be like, oh, this is just a schoolgirl like type of quest, if that makes sense.
No, it does. What I actually like though about Linnae's story, in contrast to Mornier's story, is that Linnae, and they don't actually do this very often in Wuwa, but Linnae was like, she was so dark, so like messed up. There was so much complexity to her backstory when compared to the vast majority of other characters who are just kind of like, you know, there's a problem here. I mean, like Sevy touched on, you know, there's a problem, it needs resolved. They participate in the resolution of the conflict that's at hand, and then they just move on with the help of Rover. But Linnae, she had that like really, really deep, complicated story, you know, that was there for years and years before Rover had even interacted with her. And then like, it was very multifaceted, and I don't think they really do that with other characters, at the very least, until, you know, 3.1 with Immeth.
And to piggyback off of that real quick, my favorite thing across all of 3.0 and also 3.1 is we're finally seeing Rover not instantly trust the Banner character. And because of his experience in Renacida, like he meets Linnae, and there's so many cutesy moments with Linnae in the beginning where she's like, oh my God, like, let me help you. And you see Rover, like there's dialogue options and dialogue where Rover's like, you're still hiding something. Like there's still something about this story and our interactions you're not telling me. Like, this is weird. And him getting weirded out by it, right? And I'm loving that. Like, that is a great addition to 3.0's story. And we're kind of seeing that in 3.1 and 3.2 as well. So, yeah.
I think the makings of a good game are actually like the micro features and reactions that characters have that most people will just overlook. But when you actually realize they're there, it makes for such a deeper connection or interaction with characters. So, Zora, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I agree with most of your takes. I feel like 3.0 was an important quest to have to set the pace and like to introduce Lahai Roy in general. Like the beginning of it was jam-packed with like action and the quick time events. It was really important. They were telling the story while getting the player engaged as well. So I feel like it was kind of, the pacing was a little off somewhere, but at the same time they showed the story in a way that like we felt like we were a part of it. We had to do something all the time. We were not just sitting still all the time and listening. Which can be detrimental sometimes, but I feel like it was a very important quest to like introduce these new characters and how different it would be from Renacida, and it's a completely different vibe and atmosphere and everything. The character seems very different from the Renacida characters as well, and I feel like even though it dragged on at some places, it was necessary. I don't feel like it could be any shorter, or they could have done anything else, but I feel like it was, I don't know. I feel like it was a good start to the patch or to 3.x. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like the cinematics, what can I say? They saved it, even though there were some places where I was like, it was dragging on a little bit, but I feel like it saved it with the storytelling and just the cinematics. It just increased the bar a lot for me. And I just got very motivated to keep playing and to look forward to the future patches because I could see the improvement with the storytelling. And it's always been good, but it just keeps getting better. And I feel like that was important for 3.0 because it was an introduction. So I also think it's bad to come into 3.0 with a mindset of it being like 2.0 because, you know, obviously I like 2.0 better, but at the same time, they're very different and they're trying to tell us different things. So I feel like it's unfair to compare those two, but overall, I think it was a very important quest to get us involved in the characters and the story. And yeah, I mostly agree with you guys, honestly. So, yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. I do have a question though for everyone. You can all answer this. What did you think about the lack of involvement of Chisa in 3.0, and were y'all expected to have her more involved in the story? Y'all can answer in any order you want,
bro.
Yeah, so to kick things off, I will say, like, I was so disappointed in them off-screening the interaction with Chisa.
And her parents.
And her parents.
Her
right?
parents, yeah.
Just because like that was a big character arc that she was struggling with back in 2.8, right? So to know that just happened off screen and we didn't see that, like that's tough. And someone mentioned in my chat when I mentioned that, and they were like, "Well, that's not fair, UD, because that's supposed to be like a very private moment." And I agree with that. That's a valid take, 100%. But you could still show Chisa's perspective, not have Rover there, and still show that interaction so that it's like, oh, we have a character resolution, right? So I'm kind of I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but
I get what you're saying.
Potential.
It's like a lot of things that Wuthering Waves has done so far. It feels like there's a lot of setup for several different characters that don't have the payoff. We had this in like 2.x as well. Like there's certain things that I think they could have really paid off with. Say, for example, Phoebe's story, like setting up Phoebe, like her journey, like through her disillusionment with the Order of the Deep, and like how she resolves that. Like I would have liked to see her like become like the new Primus, for example. That would have been a pretty good payoff. The same thing with Chisa as well, like setting the things up through 2.8, and she's like, oh, okay, I'll see you in La Hairoi. She goes through first, and we never see her in La Hairoi, like ever. Like, wait, what? What's going on there? It feels like being blue-balled, for lack of a better term.
Except for one optional interaction.
I actually thought that, because you were saying that they used Linnae to like set up school life in La Hairoi. I thought they'd use Chisa for that. That's kind of why I was like, that's kind of why I thought that the extra, like Linnae's Fraxidus thing, sure. But then I really hope that they used Chisa to set up the school life because she was already there. Like and I was gonna ask you actually, because like I'm willing to like reframe how I see Linnae's part. If you thought that like we see Rover being less trustworthy of the banner character, but then do you think that Linnae's trust towards Rover was earned in getting into all of that?
I think later on, yes, just because if you look at, I'm a little biased because a lot of my interpretation comes from the reactions and expressions on the characters and the micro expressions, right? And then also too, Linnae has a lot of the same trauma defense mechanisms that I do. So I kind of relate to them just a little bit, but Linnae was more necessary to show the school life, in my opinion, instead of Chisa, just because it makes more sense where if it's in Chisa's perspective, it's just a day-to-day school life. Whereas with Linnae, she's dealing with the double identity crisis of, I just want to be a school student, while I also have to deal with the Fraxidius and like try to save the school. And that's supposed to foreshadow Immeth's like arc, because she deals with that. She's, was essentially raised by the Rover, and then also just wanted to have like a normal school life, but then also wanted to help with what the Rover's dealing with. So I thought like that parallel is better, but we should have seen more Chisa. We should have seen the character resolution between her and her parents, at least from her perspective without the Rover. That was a little disappointing to see that we didn't get that. But I also do kind of subscribe to the Chisa theories about her maybe helping out in the future, but I'd be surprised if they do that. We'll see.
I love it.
We'll see.
I've seen those floating around.
Yeah, I was like, oh, y'all might be cooking maybe.
They make some good points, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any thoughts? No? Okay then.
Well,
oh, you do, Ryuuku?
Like,
okay, go ahead.
Just on the idea, like how they deal with the story, and Yudi was talking about this as well. Like they set up strong threads. Like each thread is very strong, and they're great threads. But the problem is, like, even though they all look good and they're all well, a single thread doesn't make a cloth, and they have trouble like interweaving them. Like I think it could have been better if they actually swapped the order from 3.1 be 3.0, and like have saving Immeth be the main plot thread that we travel through throughout 3.x, and I have the other characters like wrap around that and interweave that. So, like have that part, because it's like our introduction into La Hairoi. The first thing we see is Immeth, and then we have the whole thing in 3.1, and then we meet other characters that can help in order to do that, because like we could then have Linnae's story, which sets up the Fraxis and what they do, and then also the same thing with Luke as well, and then the Sigrika with the Heliogyre, and then that's all, the whole Roya thing, and all these things different things play off. Like, I think they could have done it that way. It would make everything more mesh better together. Again,
to jump off that real quick, I agree with you on 90%. I disagree on 10. So the 90%,
well, you're wrong.
Hold on. So the 90%, right? I think narratively you're right, 100%, and that's a really cool perspective of like, let's go with Immeth first, and then everything that comes after just connects back to Immeth, right? That is sick. But the only thing is they miss out on the payoff of seeing the little boop on the nose with Rover in 3.1 and it being the same one we had in 3.0. How do you have the Immeth quest first and still have that great payoff of, wait, that happened then?
Oh, I was gonna say,
that's the only thing.
Yeah, maybe not like a one-to-one swap,
not
but
a one-to-one split.
yeah, not a one-to-one swap, but like integrating more of Immeth's introduction into 3.0, and then maybe still getting into the Heliogyre and Linné and the second part of 3.0, and then like not a one-to-one swap, but like interweaving some of it, because it like, as you pointed out, it is kind of strange that like you get into the boop of Linné, and then like that introduces, and then you get into like this entire thing of like the boop of Immeth, and then you get into this entire thing of like Linné Mornier is like a break from Immeth, and then you go back to Immeth, and then everything is all Immeth. Like they're kind of doing it episodic, like tunnel visioned into each character, but then if they wove it in a bit more somehow and integrated it, it might have felt more cohesive as like an entire introduction to like the region, the cast, and the story.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I think it might have been an intentional narrative choice to have it all in 3.1 just so that it can create a really, really, really big buzz and impact. Because it kind of, a lot of people had, disappointments towards the 3.0 story. And I feel like that disappointment almost amplified how impressive 3.1 was. Maybe that's what they were going for.
Lower expectations, bigger payoff.
Yeah,
and that's what I was kind of saying. Where like, I've noticed it's not just Kuro. A lot of like Chinese writing, at least in the anime gaming space, that I keep seeing, is they love the slow burn of present 5 threads that every time you see these threads in conjuncture, like one after another, you're like, what do these have to do with each other, right? And you're kind of waiting patch by patch, and you're like, what is, like, why is this so episodic? And then they'll release the one patch that connects it all. I see that pretty consistently across all these different games in the Chinese space, and I'd love to get like YouTube. Stix, you're putting this on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
I'd love to see like YouTube comments if like this is a narrative structure that they like to do a lot in China, because it is pretty consistent. They like big payoffs on a lot of little loose threads, but I do agree with Ryuuku where it's like, in the moment, it does feel like, where does this connect, right? And that, and for some people that can be frustrating. It's like the difference between, I had a friend and me watch Interstellar, and the whole movie he was so annoyed. He was like, why? What's so special about this movie? I don't get it. And then at the end, he's like, oh my God, that was great. And I'm like, so what'd you think of the movie? And he's like, it was amazing. But I'm not gonna lie, I was also so very annoyed in the first 2-3 hours versus me. I'm watching it and I'm like, how does this all connect? Like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I don't know where that connects just yet, but so I think it depends like what type of narrative structure you enjoy.
I think there's a difference. The difference there is like with the movie Interstellar, it's only like 3 hours in itself. It doesn't take that long for the payoff. Whereas with these ones, you're looking like patch, like over months. It takes way too long unless you're like binging it, like you're coming in later on where you can go through all that. It really is a bit massive problem for people that are like playing it right now, like as it's going on. But it feels like the different threads, and they're just tied up at the end here. Whereas I think a lot of people would prefer a more like rope type structure where they're like all interweaved and all intertwined at the same time, and then they have like a knot at the end where everything comes together. It's like it does depend like where certain things line up for people, So I get exactly what you're saying, but there's a big difference. Like 3 hour story where you don't have to wait too long.
I agree. No, for sure.
Compared to 3 months or something.
For sure.
I don't know if any of you guys play Nikke, but I think the the storytelling in Nikke, the reason why it's always been my number one gacha game is because the story is so compelling and well structured and put together, and that a lot of the individual chapters are just that, they're actually individual, and that there's always a core cast of characters that ranges from like the initial like Anis and Rappy and Neon, who are there for 40 chapters now, and then every individual chapter that releases every couple months has, 5, 8, 10 different characters that are there for the entirety of the chapter. They establish, like what the arc of the story is going to be for that specific chapter, and then they kind of tell the story over, that 3-month period. But you can like binge it all realistically within that day, but it's its own story that is not only condensed but also structured in a way that they are all essentially disconnected from one another, rather than being something that you have to spend 6, 8, 12 months experiencing like you would in Chinese gacha games like in Genshin or like in Wuwa. So going back to what UD said, I do think that Chinese gacha games do have that a lot, but having played Korean gacha games as well, I think that it's much less common, which is an interesting
That's interesting.
an interesting concept. Yeah.
I love that you unironically play Nikke for the plot.
No, I really do.
Man, dude, I was gonna say I'm so scared that you said that because my chat's been begging me to play it for the story, and I'm like, really, for the story? And they're like, UD, you would be over the moon for how good the story is. It's one of the best in the space.
Every
but,
Nikke
It's
player
amazing.
I've talked to says the same
It's really,
thing.
really good.
Is
No,
it really
it's-
that good? Like,
Yeah, it is. It is.
For real.
I
what-
trust that the plot is actually good because I know so many female creators who really, really like
There's a
Nikke.
lot, yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And if it was only the other plot, I'm sure there wouldn't be so many girls who like it so much.
Yeah, it's not Snowbreak, so it is a very
will
depth.
say-
For sure.
I
No,
will
wh-
say, like, returning to the Wuwa bit, so I binged 2.x because I came in the middle of it and I played from 1.0 all the way to 2.8 like in a matter of months, and it definitely is a different experience having all the quests available to you. And I'm not trying to directly compare like everything they did in 2.x to what I hope they do in 3.x, but I will say that at least a majority of the quest parts in 2.x, they set up threads, but were also satisfying enough in their payoff, dramatic enough in their delivery, and exciting enough with their character cast, like diverse with their character cast, to make each part stand alone while also introducing the setup. So that's what I appreciated about 2.x, because the episodicness didn't feel isolated. I think in 3.x, what I hope for is that they have those qualities. Of course, I hope they do it differently in like a new and unique way. And I think that, 3.0 was an attempt at, beginning that again. But I don't know, I think that 3.1 did have like such a significantly stronger impact compared to 3.0 that I wonder if they're just trying to change the rhythm of it. Like, I wonder what they're trying to do differently with it. It's just that, like, I get the having to wait for the payoff bit, but I think that 2.x set examples of when it felt satisfying completely enough, but then also it leaves enough questions to wait till the end to answer all of them.
Okay, speaking of, let's move into 3.1 then, since you kind of transitioned us over into that.
Heck yeah.
3.1, I think, was a stark contrast to the flow and speed of 3.0, which I think was really good because people were waiting for that fast, impactful, like, environment to get to explore and content to consume, much of like they were used to with especially like the climax of 2.7 and some of the stuff that happened in the earlier 2.x patches with Cardathea. I think that, and this is I think is one of the most interesting parts of Wuwa as a whole now to me, And I don't know if you guys can relate or not, but based off of what they're saying on the Japanese Twitter, Immeth supposedly outgrossed like even Cardathia's sales and has gone on to become the highest grossing character in all of Wuwa in Japan.
Damn.
Yeah.
And then
Holy hell.
Oh my god.
Yeah, she made about like 25 or 30% more than Cardathia's banner.
Yep.
Her sales
So-
are insane.
Wow. Deserved, but also, wow, I didn't expect that. That is...
That's
Huh.
only on JP rankings. So like world rankings are different. Revenues
Different, for
but
sure.
Just on
Curious what the
game
world
EDA, yeah.
ranking is.
So
Yeah.
Huh.
from that information alone, you can kind of gauge a little bit of the impact that Immeth has had on players, and I think thus far the male characters have just been like kind of cool characters that a lot of people have skipped, and then the female characters have just been gooner bait that players want to waifu. And with Immeth, they went into this kind of selling her as waifu bait, like originally when they advertised all the characters. And then once people like actually got to her story, there was a complete 180 flip on how they perceived her as a character. And then she goes on to outgross everyone. Like this isn't just they're selling a waifu or they're selling a husband. No, they were selling an actual character for the character themselves. And I think that's like the biggest takeaway from all of Wuwa up until this point. It looks like more people are willing to pay for a good character than like a hot guy or girl. Which
I've been saying this for
I'll
months.
pay for the hot
I've been saying
guy.
this forever.
I know you would.
I've been saying it since the very time. Like everyone's saying, oh, they need to make him hot and waifu. Cause see, I'm like, yeah, it's easy, but like, that it's the low hanging fruit, you know. Like go for the like, when you can make a lot more money if you actually design and create an actual really strong character in the character themselves, not just gooner, waifu, whatever bait. It's easy, yeah, because like sexual arousal is the easiest thing to do, but like having someone that people can connect with, like across all different, you can be a guy, girl, you could be young, old, whatever. Like making characters like everyone can connect to, you get a lot more money because these games, they sell the characters through the story, and when you just make them hot, it's like a very superficial level of things. If you actually make them really deep and interesting character beyond just waifu, then you get a bigger payoff. I mean, the proof is in the pudding.
I think what's so powerful about Immeth's character is that everyone can relate to some extent the idea of a daughter. Even if you don't have children yourself, you are someone's child. Whereas not everyone's as into the whole waifu husbando thing. So I think because she's like the idea of a daughter is so close, like family, that's an idea and concept that's so close to everyone. That's why everybody was so touched by her story, I think.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, I really liked Immeth, like the approach to Immeth's story, because I don't know if you ever get this feeling with games or game stories where sometimes you feel like the game writers don't trust you to be smart or to understand the story.
That's a can of worms that I would love to jump into on another podcast, but
and for the first time in a while at least, I felt like Immeth's story actually trusts the player to understand the dynamic, the story, the timeline, even like everything that goes on, and to understand the depth and impact of it, which honestly, that's what made it for me.
I agree on that, especially because I remember finishing 3.1 story and being like on Immeth's character, like playing through it, I was like, man, I really wish we had another patch to build up Immeth the way we did with Cardathia. Playing through it, right? And then I finished it and I was like, we didn't need another patch. Like they did everything that they were supposed to. And I said at the end of the stream, like, I don't get how they did it in so much less time than they did it with Cardathia. And you just answered the question. It's because the entire way through, they didn't repeat information, and if anything, they just got straight to the point, and they respected that the viewer and the player would pick up on everything that they were laying down. That's a great perspective. Yeah,
Sometimes less
Don't
is
treat
more.
your players like idiots, and you'll be all right.
Yeah. That shows in spending too, apparently.
Okay,
Yeah,
Zora, Rini, what did you guys think? Oh, sorry, UD, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Trust.
Rini, Zora,
Zora?
what do you guys think?
Oh,
Go ahead.
Oh,
Either
I mean,
or.
I can go fast if you want.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, what's the question? Wait. Wait, what's the question again? Is it my thoughts on 3.1?
Yeah. Basically, I mean, for more or less, or Immeth's character, or whatever, really, about 3.1. Just like, just talk about it.
Go.
Yeah.
So, I think one of my favorite things about Wuwa lore is that, like Sevy says, it like with the 3.1 story, they kind of trusted us to know what was going on and like actually pay attention. And I feel like that's why some, you know, when you see like those tweets and it's like, oh, Wuwa has no lore, Wuwa has no lore. Wuwa has so much lore, it's just not always spoon-fed to us. And I think that's why people kind of are deterred from the story or just make that assumption that this story, there's no lore and stuff like that, which is just not true. So I think what I loved the most about 3.1, I mean, I love Immeth, but sorry, I'm gonna be a little bit of a lore head here, but I really loved the callbacks to 1.x, especially with like the Etheric Sea being mentioned and the whole Court of Savante stuff. Like I loved that part so much, and I think obviously we probably can all agree that like 1.0 wasn't super strong, especially in comparison to how the story is now. There was a lot of lore in that, but I think obviously the pacing and like just the overall storytelling wasn't the strongest, and I think Kuro knows that themselves, which is why they've made so many improvements with the story in the present. But yeah, it was really nice to have all those callbacks to 1.x, and that scene with Rover falling from the Etheric Sea, I was screaming so much. I was like, holy crap! There's no way. I was like so excited. And yeah, I hope they bring more like 1.x stuff back to like the story, which it seems like they're doing anyway. But yeah, I'm really excited, and I wanted to bring back characters too. I want to see Jinshi again. I'm sorry. I want to see her. I don't care how she's put in the story. I just need her back. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Even the whole the Sky arc I really loved that, because the whole story with you know, the Court of Savante and then Clement, his like whole story arc was insane. Like it was so tragic, but I feel like people don't massively care about it because he's just an NPC. But like when you think about it, he sacrificed himself, not even knowing if anyone was alive in the station. He did it just because of the goodness of his heart and just wanted to make sure that everyone, at least if anyone is there, is safe. And his story's so tragic. Like when you're fighting him, like, oh, I hated it because he's like, get out of here, get away from this place, save yourself. And I'm like, no, I'm so sorry. But yeah, I really loved it. I really loved it. I loved the, well, actually, no, I didn't. It's mostly a skill issue, but like the new mechanics and stuff, I hate it because I'm so bad at it. But like, even that, like the journey throughout the Sky Arc, like the space station, and them implementing all these like cool little mechanics and stuff, I really liked that. So yeah, I definitely think 3.1 was much stronger than 3.0, but I think if we look at, like, say if we put 3.0 and 3.1 in like an entire quest, looking at it overall, I think it works. At least, I don't know, that's just my personal opinion.
That's actually a really interesting perspective, because saying putting 3.0 and 3.1 into quests works. Wuwa, comparatively to a lot of the other games in the space, their main story quests, with a few exceptions here and there, typically hit like 2 to 3 hours, right? Roughly.
Yeah.
Like at a quick pace through, not like pausing, right? A lot of these other games hit like 5 to 10 sometimes. So it that comes into question where it's like, do you prefer having the big break, and then like Ryuuku was saying and what I was saying, like you got to deal with these loose threads until it's connected, but they need the break maybe to have the production quality that we've been getting in 3.0 and 3.1, right?
But they've also been introducing them in 2 parts recently as well, having like 3 weeks apart for each major patch.
Also true. Also true.
By the way, real quick, before we get into Zora's opinion, does it? I forget her name, the NPC that was a classmate. When we followed her, was that her name? Does anyone else think she's kind of sus?
She's sus. Yeah, she's
evil.
She's 100%.
Listen,
She's evil.
One of my chat is like, that's the Grand Architect.
Bro, when she hit that Cristoforo pose, I was ready to use it. I was like,
The
get away
absolute
from me.
cinema pose.
what
Get away
are the
from
eye
me.
color? What are the eye color of Crisoforo? Green eyes. What's her eye color? Green eyes. She does a Crisoforo pose. I'm just saying, you can't trust the people with the green eyes.
She was
Even
definitely
the way
suspicious.
She spoke, it was very passionate. Like, like it sounded like a Christopher monologue, and then she's like, "Oh,
Yup.
haha, silly me. I forgot myself there. Like, shut up."
She got crazy
Yeah.
eyes for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad I wasn't going crazy because like the entire time I'm like, I do not trust her at all.
Yeah. I like how there's a little moment between Luke and Rover too, where they looked at each other and went quiet, and we're like, that was weird.
You seeing
Like,
this?
and yeah, like you
Luke
seeing this?
definitely knows what's going on. He's definitely clued on to what's happening. Like, I think I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, he stays behind.
Yep.
And like,
Yeah.
I think, what does he do? He does. I think Navora says something, and then Luke just does this like creepy like smile. And I'm like, what is going on? What's happening? But I think he
Yeah.
definitely knows what's going on. I think maybe if it is either Christopher or the Grand Architect or potentially another Fraxis member, I
Or
think
Aleph.
Luke and whoever it is, they both know who each other are. But they don't want to like openly say anything because obviously it will cause a rift. But yeah, Luke definitely knows what's going on. I also really like Luke as a character.
Same.
And
Can't wait for his story.
Oh
yeah, because he has like
Yeah.
apparently he has a really interesting history with the Rover. Like the Rover's the reason why he came to Lahai Roy, and obviously
Yep.
we know his ties with the Fraxidus. And even
Yeah.
his splash art there's so much in his splash art. It's like him going on a journey to chase knowledge, and then when he obtains it, it's like it wasn't worth it. He's disappointed, which is why he's coming down the stairs like, and he looks so disappointed. So yeah, I'm super excited to learn more about his story.
All right, Zora, what'd you think?
I mean, overall 3.1, since like from the beginning, when we got these lore drops when we got to the Frostlands, I just knew this quest was gonna be my favorite because we finally got something else than the actual place we were at. Like we got to know more about the world. Where's what is the Etheric Sea? Like all these things that we didn't even. Sorry. we didn't even talk about, or we didn't even have anything like there was nothing much in the story like that was spoon-fed to us, and there I feel like they talked more about it, and I really appreciated that. That was one of my favorite parts of the story. And then I kept playing, of course, and it truly first impacted me after I was done with the story. I feel like when I was playing, I was overwhelmed with all these emotions and crying and whatever. But afterwards, I actually thought about what I just played. And I even cried just thinking about it. I think when a story does that, I feel like they succeeded.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I feel like that just set the bar really high for me. And I don't think I've played any other gacha quest that has affected me, not infected, as much
Both.
as 3.1. and it's just overall a really good pace. Like I get all emotional thinking about it already, and it's just I get hope, for the future patches, and I can see it going in a really good way with the storytelling and what's even happening. It's got more exciting to me, like the whole story and the whole world of Wuwa. Like it's just overall great. As I don't know what else to say than that.
Yeah, 3.1 I think had a level of cultural impact that Wuwa hadn't had up until this point. Because when 1.0 came out, they were like, herder Genshin clone, then, herder game dead, and then 2.0 came out, and Solon released that email that he sent to all the staff members pointing out that like it was 2.2 or 2.0 or 2.2. Where he confirmed that Cardathea was the biggest patch ever and that they'd grown significantly since 1.0. And then that other email came out at 3.1 where it was revealed that it is even bigger then 2.2, and then evidenced by Immeth sales in Japan. Clearly more people are reacting positively to it all across social media. Like, the game is trading every single day. There's so many cosplayers, so many creators getting invested into the game and moving from other games to covering it, not like exclusively, but like as an additive to their roster of games that they're playing. So many people are just talking positively about it, and I think like right now the game has just seen this, I don't know, exponential growth, this explosion in terms of popularity that hasn't really been seen for years, I think.
I think like the waifu bait and switch into daughter dynamic is really big because every other gacha game tries to just be a waifu collector. So like this coming in, and then people are like, oh, okay, they're actually exploring other relationship dynamics. I think that is definitely like worth making waves about, or like worth having an impact. And then aside from that, like, yeah, I really think that did catch people on, and also because there were following, I wouldn't really say controversies, but it just like changed perspectives on what Wuwa was, or on like the story that Wuwa was trying to tell.
Yeah, let's be real. Everything that happens is a mass controversy. So, Ryuuku, I don't know if... Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, I think 3.1 is the best example of what a Wuthering Waves story can and should be, like, and should have always been. Like, the way they set it up, like, 3.1, first half, second half, I say second half, like, the first half was, like, with Luke and Zora and that whole thing. And the second half was mainly to do with following like Immeth and like exploring like her relationship with Rover. And the way they set up, and like they had all these characters involved in the story, at least in some degree. Like I said, we had Lucilla there, Segrika made a cameo appearance, we had Luke in there, even the NPCs, Sus, and setting maybe possible payoff for that later on. And it was just a lot better. And again, I think Rini said this earlier about how they tied up the lore from 1.x as well, about with Rover falling through the sky. I mean, I always, whenever we've had this conversation about the problem of these patches and these quests feeling like, and I've said this as well, feeling like glorified companion story quests, because they've dropped companion story quests and just put it all into the main story quest. And like, there's like pros and cons to doing that, but whenever people said that, there've always been like some kind of pushback of people saying, well, it's Rover's story, they can't do this, and it's always like Rover's the one that does all this. I'm like, it's never really felt like that, in the sense of not for a long time, because like, why did you go to Rinsita? Like, there's a throwaway line there, but it was mainly like Abby, and then we've just got pulled along with all the stuff that's going on over there. But like, with this one here, we saw things tie into like the backstory of Rover, and we saw like how Rover came to Solaris 3 and how it had all that stuff. 3.1, even though it was again another like Immeth story, it also had an equal amount of Rover story in there as well, and it felt like it's the first time we've really seen any significant amount of development in Rover as a character.
Yeah.
It's just like Rover's there, and there's something going on, and they just help with that. But we've never really seen an actual development with Rover, except with 2.5 and Full Over.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was
there we go. I was like,
sorry. Yeah, 2.5 Full Over. That's another quest that also got a lot of attention as well in the community.
Yeah.
So whenever you actually do explore different aspects and different facets of Rover as a character, people enjoy that. I was like, can we get more of that? Like more Rover in that kind of I want to learn more about who the hell we are, you know?
Yeah.
yeah, and oh, go ahead.
Also feel like in many gacha games, they kind of forget the plot sometimes. Like, what are we even doing? Like, especially in Genshin, I'm not gonna compare, but like, I've played Genshin before, and I feel like I don't really get what's happening anymore. Like, what is, we want to find our brother or sister, but what else? You know, like, I feel like there's not enough like things added, and I feel like it's really important to have these things added like here and there. We're not gonna get everything, obviously, but here and there it's really nice to like keep the flow going and have like a connection with the world and Rover, because sometimes Rover just gets blinded by all these characters, and sometimes doesn't even feel like the main character anymore. And I feel like it's nice to have those quests that offers that as well.
Yeah, so Rover essentially feels like an outlet with which to experience the story of another character that exists for a patch. And that's it. Then you move on to the next one. I think Sevy actually touched on that a little bit earlier, too.
See, the thing is, like, I actually don't mind that format, having experienced it in Genshin, and I do like that Wuwa takes a more direct approach with Rover feeling like the main character, but I think I actually don't mind Rover being an outlet for some characters having their own main story, but I only start minding when it becomes formulaic and unearned. Like, I think those are the main pitfalls for stories that try to do that. But then, what is it? I was gonna bounce off what someone else was saying, but I forget now, so we can move on.
I want to add something.
Yeah.
I think 3.1 was such a perfect payoff for everything, starting from 2.8. Actually, I had this light bulb moment. I don't know if you guys remember the lyrics to the last song that plays at the very, very end of the quest. There's a line in the lyrics that says, "This is the world that you fought for." And when I went back and rewatched that scene in my own playthrough and some other streamers' playthroughs, I realized that the way they built up Chisa's personal story, the way they built up Monia, Linnea's personal stories, and their personal goals and dreams and aspirations in their lives, that is the world that Immeth saved, essentially, because Lahairoi would not exist without her sacrifice. And we care about that because we spent those earlier patches getting to know Chisa, to know Monia, to know Linnea, people who live in this world. Monia would not be able to do her research. Linnea would not be able to live the schoolgirl life that she so desires. And Chisa would not be able to also, come back, find her family, and go back to school. They can't live out their dreams and hopes if Immeth did not save the world. And I think that realization made me realize how significant it is. Like, it really put into perspective what she saved, if that makes sense. Because I know the people in this world. So I know a lot of people were complaining about the previous patches feeling more like a character quest. But when I had that realization, I was like, maybe that was intentional. So that we have a visualization of what the people who live in this world are. There are individual characters in this world that we care about, and that is why it's so significant that Immeth makes this sacrifice. Yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree too, just because the mentality of every patch and every, is a glorified companion quest. It's really interesting because they're not necessarily wrong in terms of the packaging. There's a hyper focus on like, this is the relationship dynamic of the Rover and character, right? In any fashion or form that it is. And it's different with each and every character, including Immeth, right? What's really interesting though, and we saw it a lot in 3.1, like you mentioned, all these companion quests kind of expose something about the Rover that gets revealed later on as either a bad thing or a good thing about them that I thought was super interesting. And even the devs themselves mention it in the 3.1 story, where I forget if it's Immeth or Rover that says it when they're talking to each other on the bike. And they say, oh, it's kind of like you're doing a road trip between all these different worlds and you just kind of keep going, right? So like for Lova, having the interaction with Rover and the opposing morals of, should you risk the safety of, other people just to bring back other people, right? And then Rover saying, no, like you cannot make that type of risk with people on the line. And then him doing that with or wanting to bring back Immeth, right? Or going back to 2.2 with Cardathea, where it's like, it's, you could say it's a glorified, you're saving the wife or whatever. But at the end, Cardathea has a moment where she tells Rover, well, who is going to save you if you're ever in my situation? And then we go back to 3.1 and that's Immeth. And funny enough, Immeth has a knight motif and Cardathea wants to be like a knight, right? So seeing that kind of like pay off down the road, even in these future character quests, I think is pretty a unique thing that they're doing in Wuthering Waves, for better or worse, depending on if you like it or not.
It means there's a lot of forethought going into everything too, a lot of pre-planning.
Right.
Which I think is something that a lot of people online don't really realize, because they, I don't know, how long has Wuwa been out for? A year and a half now? For a year and a half, the game has just been, as Sevy noted, very formulaic. You just move through like essentially a lifeless husk, just going through other people's lives without really much of your history or your person really being explored until more recently. Go on.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, go on.
I was gonna say, I get what Yudi's saying about like these callbacks eventually like reflecting in later stories, and the like Carthasia asking like about Rover saving X, and then Frolova is like, is this worth saving? And then that carrying over to like other characters. I think like the interrogation of Frolova and Rover was particularly interesting because in the first place, like Frolova and Rover were like on opposing sides. But then aside from that, I felt like it did start falling into formulaic territory because I can't recall a situation where Rover didn't choose to save. And that's kind of, like that might be skill issue or that might be memory gap, but right now, because Rover is like main character, like you get to isekai yourself as the hero into like, you know, a world that feels like the morally should be thing to do. And that was only ever interrogated in Frolova's case, and as far as I can remember, like I can be wrong. So that's why I kind of feel like the packaging is important to at least switch up or find other ways to explore Rover's morals. And I feel like Immeth at least achieved that, right? But then I think other patches or episodes in between, they didn't do it as impactfully, or they didn't do it differently enough to like stand out against like some of the other quests that were surrounding it.
I think their problem is they kind of hyper focus on not the payoff and not making a callback, and that's the reason why that can kind of get lost. Because like we had Frolova, and then on the topic of saving, like Yuno's whole thing about saving Yuno, Rover gets warned like 5 times and by the priest, and the priest is like, you do realize like if you mess this up, it's not just affecting you, like Septimont might go under just because you want to save Yuno, because he's trying to get into the chaos realm, right? And he's like, I don't care, I need to save Yuno, which is really funny because it goes back to the whole Frolova interrogation of Rover, why can't you understand that I'm just trying to save my people, right? And Rover being like, you can't put sacrifices on the line just for an unguaranteed, maybe you can bring everyone back. And then Rover does that anyways in Yuno's quest, right? But I will say that's like such a subtle thing that you have to pick up on your own. And Kuro can do a better job at like calling back to that, to be like, oh, this is like the Yuno moment is a playoff of the Frolova moment, you know?
Okay, interesting.
But I will say, I do agree with you. One thing that, and it's the only thing I'm bitter about, every now and then they do drop the ball on, you know, making sure that a character does either get reference or callback. Chisa is one of them. Another big one, and the only other one that I actually have an issue with in Rina Sita is Lupa. Lupa should have been in the Augusta patch, and a lot of people will be like, well, she's a gladiator and she's only in tag team environments, but at the end of Lupa's quest, she even says like, I want to be there for you to help you out in case you ever need a warrior to have your back. And thematically, it makes sense for Lupa to be more active in the Augusta quest. It was weird that she wasn't, especially with people countering like, oh, like she's busy with the gladiator stuff. But then why does she come back in 2.7 then at the end to help us out, right? Yeah. So like Lupa and Chisa are my two where like, yeah, they should have brought them back more. And they did kind of drop the ball a little bit there. Same token, Chisa's story individually and Lupa's story individually was absolutely fantastic. But yeah, they can do a little bit more to like have those callbacks. I do think it's cool that they foreshadow, like Stix was saying, ahead of time with a lot of these quests though.
Well, I think they did fix some things with 3.1 that I guess will reverberate through future patches, or maybe it won't. I don't know, and we'll just see them falling back into old habits. But we can hope for the best, I guess, and hope they continue to improve from there with what they've exhibited so far. Anyone else? Anyone else have anything to say about 3.1 before we move on?
If this is the final thing on 3.1, I
No,
just
it's
wanna
not.
End off. Oh, not okay.
No, it's not. No, just
I
like
was just gonna say, like, this is technically still 3.1. It just hasn't happened yet. I'm really gonna be upset if the Luke segue is 40 minutes long, like Chuyun's was. Like,
yeah, we're probably getting like an
pissed.
hour. Yeah.
Give me 2. Like, I need at least 2. That man, if he knows what's going on, I need him to like tell us everything.
Right, what was everyone's favorite moment in 3.1? Like for me, and there were a lot. There were a lot to choose from here, but and I'll give you all a chance to think about it while I state mine. But there were a lot of like really epic moments with Immeth and a lot of like revelations made with Rover. But for me, I think my big standout holy fuck moment was when we were in Rover and Immeth's little, house cabin, and you were in there by yourself, and you went upstairs and you had like the little teddy bear thing and the little pink-haired girl, and they were like the little like picture book. Then downstairs with the TV there was like the little console and everything with 2 controllers. So when I first went upstairs and I saw the teddy bear, I was like, that looks fucking horrifying. But I didn't put 2 and 2 together yet that it was actually Rover. And spoiler alert for anyone that is watching on YouTube that hasn't seen this. But I didn't realize that was Rover. So I went back downstairs and I was continuing a little bit. I'm like, why are there 2 controllers here? Who is she playing with? And then like it clicked. I'm like, wait. So I ran back upstairs and I noticed that like you could see the tacit mark on the little doll that was holding the little pink-haired girl. And I was like, oh my god. So I had to run back downstairs, and like I ran around the house just trying to piece every little thing together, and I'm like, oh my god, it's fucking Rover. Like that was her, and that was little oh my, and I just had to like pause for I think like 2 entire minutes just to kind of process everything that had happened. So even in spite of all those really insane, climactic events that happened, like that was I think the standout moment for me throughout the entire patch. But if you guys want to go around and mention one by one what yours were. Starting with Erusha.
Okay. Well, this is very personal for me, but the moment that hit me the most was definitely the last part of that cinematic sequence at the very end. Of course, the whole animated sequence was insane. The voice acting, the visuals were insane, but it was actually the moment after that had the biggest impact on me. That scene where young Immeth and Rover are just talking to each other, kind of like walking through all of the kind of like future possibilities, what she could have become, but what she kind of had to give up on to sacrifice herself to save the world, save everyone. And it's such a simple moment, but that was the moment that made me cry the most. I watched over like 30 content creators' reactions, and every single time just hearing that scene brings tears to my eyes. And just her asking Rover, what do you want me to become? And Rover saying, I just want you to live a happy, carefree life. No. And then remembering her saying that in the cinematic that we got so long ago, it made me bawl my eyes out. It's such a simple moment, but I love my family, and my mother has actually said the same thing to me once. I remember I just had this flashback to when I was younger, and I asked my mom, like, Mom, what do you want me to be when I grow up? I'm from an Asian household. I expected my mom to say something like, oh, I want you to be a lawyer or doctor when you grow up. But actually she told me, I don't really care. I just want you to be happy.
Aww.
I had a flashback to my mom saying that to me, and I'm not a parent myself, but I'm a daughter. And just in that moment, I could really put myself in the shoes of Immeth and realize, like, wow, like I wanna I want to do whatever I can to be there for my family. And I think it just hit on an extra personal level during that moment. So yeah, that was definitely the moment that hit the hardest for me in the story.
Damn. W mama though.
Yeah. I had to message my mom and like give her a virtual hug after the story.
Aww.
Rini, what about you?
I would say it's kind of like two things in one, but like the sigillum moment where it's revealed that sigillum is Rover's frequency. That scene was again, that was another scene where I screamed my lungs out. I was like, what the frick is happening? What do you mean? What do you mean what's happening? And the reason why I said like it's kind of two things that tie in with each other is because one part that like specifically stuck out to me was when Immeth is traversing void space and all of like just everything to do with void space really, and the fact that she came across so many different frequencies. Like she came across like Exostriders, and she obviously came across a frequency that belonged to the Rover, and she held on to it because obviously that is her family. And the whole thing with Rover's civilization, their home, rejecting them and basically telling them like, hey, you need to keep on the mission. We don't really care about your feelings towards what's going on. We don't care if you miss home. You need to stick to the mission. And I thought like that whole moment really humanized Rover, because I feel like sometimes, a lot of times we kind of forget that Rover is just like well, not a regular person, but they're just a person. Technically, they're just a soldier sent on a mission, and like a solo mission. They can't go back home until they've completed that mission. And obviously, in comparison to everyone else in Solaris, Rover is kind of like put on a pedestal of like being like a god in a way. But then I feel like with Immeth, she really humanized them and made us realize, well, not made us realize, but I feel like she highlighted the fact that Rover is just a person trying to save everyone, save the world. And the fact that Immeth found this frequency in void space, and it was familiar to her. It was a frequency that belonged to her family member, and she held onto it, and then she found the relic that was from Rover's home. And she found all these messages that Rover sent back home of them wanting to return, even if it's just for a moment. And the fact that Immeth found that out, and she felt so intensely emotional for her family. She felt so much empathy for Rover in that moment because she knew what Rover had went through. She knew what Rover's fate is supposed to be, which is just to, as I said, be a soldier sent out on a mission to save Solaris. And basically from her intense empathy, Sigillum was born. And Sigillum is basically a manifestation of Rover's negative thoughts, well, what Immeth believes Rover feels about their home planet and basically being abandoned. So having that all tie in together, like, it made my heart break so badly because I was just like, oh my god, this poor baby Rover, and then Immeth being raised by Rover and wanting to be the savior of the savior. Like, I just thought it was so beautiful and so heartbreaking and so tragic at the same time. But yeah, I would say that was like my favorite, even though it's really morbid actually now that I'm thinking about it. It was my favorite plot.
It was quite the revelation, and honestly, there was a lot to unpackage in 3.1 that I didn't expect. I think a lot of people didn't expect to have happen. Ryuuku, though, what do you think? What was yours?
Yeah, my biggest moment where I was like, oh, fuck, what the hell's going on, was, again, the same thing with, like, Sigillum, to see the mask crack and see the face of Rover underneath that. That was the biggest, like, what the hell is going on? Like, that was the biggest thing for me. But then also, as well, like, the thing that I think I'm the only parent that's in this call right now. I don't think anyone else has. I think I'm the only one. So like I'm watching this from a different perspective. Like of someone that does have a daughter as well. I mentioned this in my playthrough. Like exactly right after the quest finished. Like the thing that really started the emotional floodgates, for lack of a better term, was that moment of Immeth saying to Rover, like, what shall I be? Shall I be a doctor? And I thought the same thing. From the opposite perspective, like wondering what is my daughter going to be in the future. Alex, I had that different, similar but opposite perspective. So, yeah, those two moments were the biggest. What the fuck moment was the sigillum thing. The biggest emotional floodgate was that one. But then at the very end, the payoff was at the end of it all of the shell of Immeth reaching out and like saying, "Don't be sad." I was like, "Oh, shut the fuck up."
Oh, that was that hurt.
They was like, "Oh no, just shut up, just shut up, just shut up." I can't deal with this right now. So I have like three biggest what the fuck, then the emotional floodgates, and then the payoff at the end there. Those are my. I guess I'm cheating there, but it is what it is. Deal with it.
That's okay.
I would have brought up that moment as well.
Yeah.
People actually got upset with me, not only in stream, but on Twitter, because I was one of the only content creators, apparently, that didn't cry during the moment. But I was struggling, like, at the end. So, y'all know when Immeth was in the, sitting on the... she was introduced, like, on the wheelchair, and then she was sitting down on the bench, and then at the end, she grabs your hand.
Yeah.
But you see kind of, like, her eyes glazed over, and she's lost her soul and the essence of who she is. So I don't want to take this into a depressing route, so keep it short. But my mother had a very severe case of cancer recently, and she passed away. But over that, like, it happened over like a 1 month period, and you just saw her lose everything of who she was over literally just a couple weeks. So that moment where Immeth, like, I that was the big relatable moment for me in the entire patch. Like, I didn't relate to her story from the perspective of a parent or from the perspective of a child. Mine was of the perspective of seeing someone like waste away and lose who they were. And that was the emotional moment for me. And I think like at that point, I just kind of like stopped for a minute and just kind of had to like recollect myself. I still didn't cry, granted, and that's why people were so upset. But I think like there were epic moments present. There were some like what the fuck moments present, but there were such like close to home, deep hitting moments present in the story too, that a lot of different people with a lot of different experiences and backstories can relate to, which is another reason 3.1 I think was so good and so well told.
Yeah.
What do you think,
Crying
Sevy?
is not the only way people process grief.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, there were honestly so many moments in the story. When I was playing, I was also playing this live on stream for the first time. I cried more when I rewatched the story than when I played it the first time on stream. I feel like the most realistic first reaction you have to some of the moments is actually just being speechless, like because it hits so hard, you're trying to process it, right? So it's totally understandable to not cry, especially on your first playthrough.
Yeah, and I think, well, personally, I am a crier, and like the only thing that stops me from crying is when I'm like too distracted by chat. But when the whatchamacallit, the cutscene, I think of like little Immeth and Rover, I think when that started, it was just like tears for me onwards, like all the way until the end. But what actually kind of got me was the interstellar moment of when Rover pushed Immeth out of the water.
Yes.
Because that's when it all connected. That's when it everything like started connecting back in terms of, because I love like sci-fi, and Interstellar I think is like one of the like full cultural impact ones, but there's actually another like sci-fi film that also deals with time travel called Arrival, and then another one that people were referencing was Tenet, which I haven't seen and now I want to see it. But when you start connecting moments like that where previously it's like vague enough to like fly under the radar, but is an impactful enough moment where it makes a difference, but then you explain it with something that was set up prior, then that for me is like when it actually hits and then connects everything, and then everything else starts falling into place.
Just add one more movie to that. Like I got Looper, if you've ever seen that. Looper.
I haven't seen it. I will see it now.
It's not the same thing, but it's a Looper where like it's like a time loop of I don't want to spoil it because it's.
Wait, who does it have in it?
There's loops in there. Like there's loop with Immeth, there's loops in Looper. I really enjoyed that. It's not the same. It's not exactly the same thing, but it's also about closing loops and loops restarting, and like the actions of one thing leading to the action of another thing that come back into the past. And I enjoy it. It's all another good film.
Wait.
More
Okay.
action based though.
What actors does it have in it? The name. I
Bruce
rec-
Willis is in it. Bruce Willis and what's his?
I gotta see it.
The guy he was in Batman Rises. He was also in
Ben Affleck?
Liam
Ben
Neeson.
Affleck?
No.
No.
No. He like played Robin. Well, the character that would be Robin.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I never remember his name, but
I know.
he was the police officer.
Yeah, he's got dark hair, like black hair.
Yep.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah.
Ooh, him.
Okay.
He was gonna play Robin.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
He actually played.
Bruce Willis, Emily Blunt.
Okay,
So,
that's
like,
reason enough
these
right
are
there.
three-
Wow.
Great movie. Just watch it.
Yeah, I gotta see
enjoyed
that.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, UD, what was your standout breakout moment of the whole thing? Or if you have multiple,
Man.
like hit us with them.
I got two. I'm gonna try not to cry, because I am a crier. Before that, I do want to say though, like to the internet, first and foremost, condolences, Stix. Second,
Yeah.
you don't need to cry to convey that you really enjoyed a story, especially because
Exactly.
crying is like the most obvious. Oh, this person's emotionally impacted, but there's so many different responses to like trauma or grief that so many different people have, and some people mask, some people repress and like take in, right? Because they're dealing with so much and they gotta process a lot. Other people, they just let it out, right? And I used to not cry for anything back in the day. I've only recently healed over a lot of stuff in the last, I want to say 4 years or 5 years, where now I'm a crier, right? You don't need to be a crier to enjoy the story. And on that note, like I've had, piggybacking off of Stix, I've had so many people that I've lost, especially during COVID. Good close friends of mine, my uncle, and me absolutely adoring my parents on top of that. Seeing that relationship between Immeth and Rover, and Immeth wanting to sacrifice everything to make sure Rover was good and that everyone else was good. Like I resonated and related to that so heavily, because I had super young parents and they didn't know how to raise a kid. So unironically, like my dad bought psychology books on how to raise a kid because he's 18, 17. He's like, I don't know what I'm doing. And my mom used to take me to Barnes and Nobles and stuff. And I watched these two like just ruin themselves health-wise just to give me a shot and have me be happy. So seeing those books, the psychology books,
The books at the end.
dude, that broke me because I'm like, fuck.
Oh, that was such a nice touch that they added.
Yeah. And then my other moment is what Sevy said, which was they're in the sea and he goes to grab Immeth, and then it's the perspective of like her as a kid now, and he's trying to save kid Immeth. And I thought that was so sad and beautiful because Rover's whole story is he's propped up as like this godlike being that lives so many years, but at the end of the day, he's just human. And if you look at the lore, he's actually a failure as a god. Like he's a great fighter, but he can't come up with an answer to the lament. He's seen so many civilizations just burn and him not being able to do anything. And we see this happen with 2.7 Galbrenna, where he's not even the hero in that moment. And even the Frexidius leader is like, yeah, we don't even actually think Rover's a threat here. It's Galbrenna, right? And we see Cristoforo almost trick the Rover into ending his own life in that one space because of just how much he didn't care for his life if it meant saving everyone else, right? And we see that in Immeth, and Immeth saying everything that she said. And now it's Rover just trying to protect her, and he's lifting this kid, and he's flapping the wings. And I played in English, so I don't know how it is in other languages, but the male Rover voiceover, dude sounds like he's struggling. And he flaps, and he thinks he's gonna get it, and then he falls, and he's like, damn it. And then he goes again, and then you hear him go, oh, like just trying to get one last push. And then he's like, I still couldn't get her all the way out. And he's sad about it. I'm like, fuck, man, that got to me. That was like, oh.
As a voice
Yeah.
actor, I watched it in multiple languages. The performance was absolutely phenomenal in every
Heck yeah.
language. It was
Heck
so
yeah.
good. It was
Heck
so
yeah.
good. You could really feel. 'Cause I think especially Rover's voice actors, I think really shined in every language in
Yep.
this patch because Rover was almost a little more on the monotone kind of side, like mysterious monotone. You don't really know what he's thinking about.
Yeah.
I think the Rover's voice actors in every language, again, both F Rover and M Rover, really got to shine during this patch because there were so many emotional moments and Rover was humanized so much. I think the voice actors were able to be a lot more emotional in their performance.
I think that was actually a lot of praise on social media for both male and female voice actors for Rover. And that was very surprising because like one of the recurring themes throughout the Western community here is that Rover feels emotionless, they feel so monotone, and they feel like they have no feeling whatsoever. And people always tell me, Stix, you got to play the game in Japanese because Rover, like, it doesn't matter which gender you're playing, but Rover sucks. Like, they sound terrible. But throughout 3.1, because we had, I think, about like 1,000 people watching, and so many people came in and they were leaving positive comments in chat stating how much of an improvement Rover had, both male and female, because I play as female Rover, and I have a lot of content creator friends that play as male Rover, and they were all saying the same thing. And like there's just this sentiment that has been echoed across social media in the last couple weeks, and it's just been incredibly positive for the performances individually. And that's something that hasn't existed throughout like Wuwa up until this point. It's been a year and a half or more, so it's been very
from a voice acting perspective, it makes sense that Rover was not as full of emotion previously, because remember, they erased their own memories. And if you think about it realistically, if you don't have memories, how are you supposed to have strong emotions towards events? He or she, they don't know what's happening. But this patch, he gets to see what happened, and then it hits. That's why there's so much more emotion in the Rovers, I think, in this patch. Yeah,
it was phenomenally conveyed and portrayed, I think.
Yeah.
What about you, Zora?
I think my favorite parts were what's it called? The water thing, and you can just feel the desperation, and the voice acting was incredible, and you could just feel the Rover was in pain, and I don't think I've seen Rover like that before to that degree, and it really impacted me a lot because I thought about Rover differently after that, because I was like, okay, this character is emotionless, it doesn't care, or as you said, of course they wouldn't really understand the world, but now they do, and you can just feel that now they're like in connection with their feelings, and like the desperation comes across really well. And other things that were impactful for me is just Immeth, her desires and her feelings I could resonate a lot with. I never had the best relationship with my parents growing up, and I could feel the part where she wanted to be her best self for Rover, and I could relate to that a lot because I always wanted to be the best daughter ever, even though I didn't get much attention or the best upbringing, but I always wanted to be the best version of myself for them. And I feel like that's also another perspective. You don't always have to have the best relationship with your parents to resonate with the story. And I feel like that afterwards, after I played the story, I cried multiple times because I could just bring more and more things. The more I saw playthroughs of it, I could just connect with her a lot. And I feel like that just it just brought a lot of emotions in my heart, and I could just think about my past, and I've forgiven my parents now, and it's all good, and I think that's important. But I can sense her pain as a child and how that affects her as a grown-up, and yeah, she really opened up my heart. I love her.
I'm sorry that you had a troubled upbringing as well, but I think it's also really, really important to note how, on so many different levels, people have been able to find a way to connect to this patch. And because, based off of just the people here in the podcast thus far, like we've all connected. Well, some of us have connected on the same things, but with different reasoning behind it, which is actually like, I think this is just a testament to the exceptional storytelling that has been present in this patch. And like I know that 3.2 is probably going to be a substantial downgrade from 3.1, but I just like, what are each of your guys' thoughts? Like at the end of the day, what would you rate 3.1? Like in your guys' opinions, because this has been called the greatest Wuwa patch, you know, of the history of Wuwa. And there have been a lot of people that have called it the greatest patch in all of Gacha gaming. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Do you agree? You can answer in whatever order, it doesn't matter. Just fire away answers whenever you're ready.
I think for me, like I would rate this a 10 out of 10 purely because surprisingly, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm looking at this through like rose-tinted glasses, but you could take this quest out of the entire story of Wuthering Waves, played through it, and emotionally, it still hits, right? Because there's just so many different ways that you can connect to it. And the fact that they did this in a 3 to 5 hour runtime is massively impressive, because usually to get that emotional impact, you need all the previous build-up to be able to get it, right? I think calling it the greatest gacha patch is hard, just because it depends on the perspective, right? Like, I'm always biased towards characters that I can relate to over characters that I can't, just because I'm an emotional sap. But for me, it's definitely like easily top 3 all-time favorite patch stories that I've ever experienced across all the gacha games I've played. And HI3 for me is a huge one. The Furino quest, mainly because I relate to the character a lot. That was a great one, but I was mostly impressed just how they were able to jam-pack so much emotion in such a short run time of a quest. And that goes to show the power of good storytelling, having the micro expressions, the great directing of the storyboarding, the order, the sequence of order of events that happens, the music coming in, the animations, like all of that does so much to ram home
the anime cutscene just randomly out of nowhere that just like blew people's minds.
That was insane.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, what about the rest of you?
I'm also
I would give it a
impressed-
9.9 out of 10, just because I don't think anything should get a 10 out of 10. Nothing's perfect, but it's very close to perfect. There are definitely things that could be changed, but I don't think I'm qualified to give my thoughts on how it could be changed to be better. But it's definitely the best story in Wuwa for me. I don't think I can say it's the best in Gacha because I haven't played every Gacha.
I have.
Fair.
Have you played Nikkei?
I haven't played Nikkei. See? I haven't played Nikkei, so
yeah, me
who
neither.
knows? Maybe there's a story in Nikkei that's better, and I just haven't experienced it. So I'm not qualified to say that it's the best story in Gacha.
Agreed.
But
Same.
from what I've played, it's definitely up there. Like the emotional impact and the presentation. The presentation was absolutely phenomenal. Like the voice acting and the music and just like the production value of the visuals. Again, like the whole animated sequence. Everything was just put together so well that even without the stellar storytelling, even just by presentation alone, I feel like it's like up there in gacha stories. Yeah.
All right, I don't disagree. That was a great take. Anyone else? I know there are 3 people that tried talking at the same time, so.
No,
Yeah.
I guess I'll say something. Yeah, it's, I think there's a difference of like overall one of the best patches and one of the best arcs. Because when we talk about stories, I think a lot of people when they talk about different stories in other gacha games, they tend to merge patches and they have the entire arc. So when people talk about Nikkei story, for example, they're not talking about the singular patch in that. They're talking about the arc throughout several patches. I'm just speaking from other games that I've played as well, that there are some like standout stories and standout arcs that have been really, really good in a lot of other gacha games. Like one of the biggest ones for like more seasoned players would be like Fate Grand Order's Lost Belt 6, and then the whole thing with Oberon. Like if you know what I'm talking about. And then the whole thing with like Arknights as well. But again, Arknights has always had OG Arknights, should I say, has had a rocky start at the beginning, but then it really picks up. But again, that's talking about the story as a whole. If you're talking about just singular patches, this is the 3.1 patch. What has been one of the strongest ones that I can think of off the top of my head. Again, it's because I've played these games for like so long. I can't. It's very difficult to separate. Was that in one patch or was it in two? But we're trying to like say, is it the most singular patch? It is definitely in the top 3 best patches that I've personally experienced in Gacha through playing. I'd say at least 15 at the very least. Gacha in my time. So
No, I thought you were gonna say years for a second. Then I was gonna be like, damn. Okay.
no, actually, yeah. No. Well, true. It's both. Like I've played a lot more Gacha than just the 15, but 15 like, consistently over, because the first Gacha that I played was back in 2012, but they didn't really have stories at the time. Then you go to Chain Chronicle, Grand Blue Fantasy before it goes into Grand Blue Relink, and then it goes into Fate Grand Order, Arknights, and that was my main play through Gacha. So 15 years is also correct, basically.
Wow. Okay. I've only been in Gacha for 3, if that. So.
Oh, well, I guess like personally, it is like up there for me. 3.1. I've only really focused on 2, 3, 2.5 main gachas in my life. And the thing is, like, I'm not gonna compare the two, but this came out around the time that the Nodcry finale thingy or Nodcry Act 8 came out. That was also really good. And I think that what impresses me about 3.1 is how much they fit into 4 hours. And how well they were able to tell that story in just that short amount of time. I will not give it a 10 out of 10 because I hope that they keep surpassing it. You know, I hope that eventually we get something better. But I will say that I don't think a Wuwa episode or a Wuwa quest has left such an impact on me since 2.5, and 3.1 surpassed that, and I think that that's huge.
All right. Well, there's 2 of you left.
I would give it a 9.5 because they can always improve, obviously, but I think it is my favorite patch in Wuthering Waves in total. If it's my favorite story or patch in all of Gacha, that's hard to say, but it's definitely like on the top 3. I feel like it's very rare that I play through a story and think about it afterwards for days and weeks. It's very, very rare that I do that, and I'm still thinking about it. I still watch videos about it. I'm looking for tweets about it and people talking about it because I'm very invested in it, and it's not that often that I do that. Yeah, I feel like that speaks for itself, and I feel like just in general, it was just phenomenal. Like, yeah.
I do want to point out real quick, I love how Unrealdreamer was like 10 out of 10, and then everyone's like, fuck, we can't do that. Every other person was like, let's rate it like 9.5, 9.9. Let's not touch the 10.
Nothing's 10 out of 10. No.
Oh, Rini, what do you think though? Like overall?
I think I'm not the best when it comes to rating Wuwa's stories, because honestly, in the moment when I'm playing them, it's really hard for me to be critical of it because I'm just trying to like immerse myself into like the experience. It isn't until like after I've done it that I really get like a proper opinion. I don't really have any issues with 3.1. Like I probably would give it a 10. It's not my favorite quest, but it's definitely up there. I think my favorite quest will always probably be 2.2. I don't know why, I just have such an attachment to that patch, but yeah, 3.1, I think it was a very strong patch, of course, and obviously everyone's talking about it, and it's definitely been on my mind. Like as Zora says, I've been thinking about it a lot. Like, Immeth has literally been infiltrating my dreams, which is insane. I had a dream about her the other day, and like
Oh my
we were
God.
like separated from each other, and we were like reaching out to each other, and we were like,
Oh.
and I woke up, and I was like, what the hell just happened to me?
Oh my gosh.
Like I don't dream about Gacha game characters, not even Jinshi. So the fact that I dreamt about Immeth just
Wow.
shows how impactful the story was. Don't you even. It just shows how impactful the quest was on me, and yeah, I just thought it was amazing. Like with me, I know a lot of people talk about Rover and Immeth having like a parental relationship. For me, I saw Immeth as like my little brother. I absolutely adore my little brother. I was basically a secondary parent to him. Like I helped raise him with my parents because there's a massive age gap between us, and just like her little personality and how she added like basically a ray of sunshine to Rover's day. Like it reminded me of my little brother, because I remember sometimes I would be struggling with like day-to-day life or like mental health, and my little brother for me would be that little ray of sunshine who would just say like the silliest of things or give me a hug or just comfort me. And I think one of the biggest reasons why 3.1, at least I think, why it was so impactful for so many people was because we could all really relate to it in our own little ways. And yeah, I loved it. I would definitely give it, I mean, I don't really want to give it a rating. Let's just say it's up there in like my top 3.
That's okay. I mean, yeah, it doesn't need like a definitive rating. It was more just because, you know, people have been either criticizing it or hyper glazing it. So the purpose of it was just to kind of ask the question, do you guys think it's worth the glaze that it's been receiving online? The patch specifically, not Wuwa as a whole, but the patch specifically.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think
Yeah,
so.
So, I think it's also, I think what makes it more worth the glaze is that it breaks a stereotype of what gacha characters usually are to the player.
Tropes, one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Okay, then we have 2 more questions, and we could just wrap this up. The first question is, who is everyone's favorite character from the 3.x series thus far? Because we've been introduced to all of them, pretty much.
I'll
And,
give
you
you
know-
one guess.
Is it me?
Kidding.
Definitely not
Yes.
Luke. Definitely not Luke.
Nah.
No, not the guy I'm gonna S6.
Ah,
Definitely not.
that's 6.
Yeah, she's going in hard, man.
She's gonna S6 with Luke. It's crazy.
Oh my god.
Well,
This is a PG-13 stream. Let's keep that there, okay?
oh.
I don't want to hear that from you of all people, Stix.
Yo,
Yeah,
I play
you
Nikke for
player.
the story, okay?
For the
Damn.
plot. For the plot.
Okay,
for
what's
the
your
plot.
excuse for Snowbreak, bro?
Okay, valid. Okay, Okay, what are you guys' favorite? Who's your favorite character? Let's go. I know.
3.0 patches, right?
Well, 3.0,
3.x?
1,
Yeah.
you know, and any of the
And
upcoming
1.
characters, yeah.
Yeah, I think it would have to go to Immeth just because it was just so well done, the quest. But Luke definitely interests me the most just because of how much mystery is behind him and his one comment of, oh, you seem lighter now, Rover. Like, you know, like happier. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like you know a lot. Like, so, yeah.
Luke is kind of at a disadvantage here because we haven't gotten his story yet.
True.
Mhm.
True.
Need more info.
Yeah.
I do hope they do him justice, though, because I think he has
I do
probably
as
one of
well.
the... He has probably one of the better, like, potential stories, I think, out of all the upcoming
Yeah.
characters from what we've seen.
Yeah.
So I think he could be probably the second best developed character if they handle him correctly, outside of like Immeth. So he was hoping they don't just like give him a short, 1 hour long patch and then he'll appear 2 patches from now to patch you up or something. And
Yeah.
okay, Rini,
Sevy just dying over there.
Rini, Zora, yeah.
I would say my favorite is probably Immeth, but I would also, I don't know if it counts, but I could also say Rover because I'm really surprised by
Same.
Rover, like
Rover's
their
good.
development and like just how like let's be honest, I didn't really like Rover before. Like they grown on me bit by bit in Renacida, got better, and now I'm just like, yes, please, more of that. And I feel like Rover has really surprised me a lot, more than anything else in the story. Like, I feel like it just sets. I just look at Rover differently. I feel like they are more human now, and like I can like sense their pain, and they're like, why did they even choose to erase their memories? Maybe they had a terrible past, and we saw that. They probably did, and I started gaining sympathy, and like I just really like Rover now. Like I was a hater, and I'm a lover. Like I really like Rover now.
Well, it's also great that I think Rover has an actual personality into story and like direct involvement into story as well, rather than just being like a lens with which you view the story through.
Yeah.
Like
That's
Rover's good
something I
when
appreciated a
they're
lot.
an actual character, you know? When they're an actual character, like I said, I can understand with 1.0. Like I didn't really have that many issues with 1.0, I'll be quite honest. I rather enjoyed it, and maybe I'm in the minority, probably am, but whatever. But whenever Rover is actually a character, again, just waking up, learning stuff about the world, 1.0, and then later on, like I mentioned, with For Lover 2.5, and then now in this one, 3.1, whenever they actually expand on Rover's character, I'm like, I like this person, they're pretty cool, but whenever they're not, and then just, like you mentioned there, a lens with which to view these other characters, it's like, I don't care, and because I don't care, in my opinion, it's like the less I see of them, the better for that specific story. But when they actually explore them as a character, I'm like, give me more of that, please. I want to know who we are. I really don't like the self-insert bland stuff. It's just like I like to explore like who am I as this person, like getting to the RPG, the type of thing of I like to have characters that are interesting, like crazy things. Like, interesting characters are interesting, you know. When they're bland, they're bland. So it's just like that.
Yo, piggybacking off of the self-insert thing for a moment here. I don't know if y'all get this too, but I hate it when people come into stream when you're playing through the story and they say, you should play as male Rover because it's better. And I'm like,
Same.
Yeah.
it just,
Same.
I don't get that.
It pisses
I mean,
me
I
off.
do
Why
play
do
as
they
male
do that?
Rover, like but like I don't get why. Like
I know.
It doesn't really matter. Like, I get that a lot too. Where it's like,
It's
oh,
a
you should
can
play
of
as male.
worms.
I'm like, why? Why does it matter?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only
I
one.
see
It
why
just,
the
doesn't
Rover
matter.
as the same
You're not the only
person.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it's people wanting you to have the exact experience that they had
Yeah.
because they're so attached to that experience, so they want everyone else to have that one-to-one, right? It's like when people come in and they're like, why are you playing in Japanese? You should play in English for this patch. Or why are you playing
Oh
in
my God,
English? You should be
Pat.
playing in Japanese.
I get that
or...
all the time.
Me
It's
too.
annoying. I think Erusha has the same thing. Like
Yeah.
I play in Japanese because like Japanese, but then people say I don't understand it. Play in English. I'm like I can't. What do you want me to do?
Yeah. Yeah, it's people wanting their experience to be, you know, over yours, essentially.
mhm.
Yeah.
Weird thing.
Reedy, do you have a favorite character?
Didn't she?
I was like trying to
yeah.
think. Well, if I was talking, I was like, oh my god, what do I say? I don't know. I feel like, you know what it is? It's because like I think I just grow like a specific attachment to each character, and because each character has their own like stories, their own past. Like I don't know. I just feel like they're characterized really well, and I just gain attachment to each and every one of them. But I think. I would probably say Monie, just because her story is so deep and beautiful. I think just her sheer determination is something that I don't know, I just admire in her. Like her past, her lore, like her parents, stuff with her parents, like her mom left a family because she was just so overwhelmed with like having to take care of Monie, and Monie had to deal with that. And then also we all know that Monie is super smart, and the reason why she is because she was like, okay, if I immerse myself in my studies and put all this work and effort into being the smartest person in the room, then people can't overlook me. They'll always look to me for help, like even at school and stuff. When people did, like other students didn't really understand like something that was said in class, like they'd always go to her, and then that made her feel like she was worthy. And then I just think her journey of discovering her self-worth within herself and not relying on others was just something really admirable to me. And I think I can also relate to that because I like have such really bad imposter syndrome, and I'm like, oh, I have to always constantly prove myself and prove that I'm worthy of like being listened to or like paid attention to. And I think I just related to that on like a personal level. But yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say Monier as well, because I feel like saying Immeth is kind of like cheating almost, because everyone loves Immeth, let's be honest.
Yeah, everyone
right?
loves Immeth.
Yeah. So, and I feel like everyone also relates to Immeth's story to some extent, because again, like there was just so many elements to the 3.1 story. So I was thinking outside of Immeth, who had the biggest impact on me, and I think it's Monier for me as well. Similar reason. I think everyone who didn't watch Monier's trailers missed out on so much of what makes
Yeah.
her
Oh, they're so
True.
good. There's so much to
True.
them.
Right?
Yeah.
Her trailer is one of my favorites. It's so good. It made me cry.
Yeah.
Like, she gave the stars to Lahai Roy. Like, hello, like, people
Yeah.
listen. She's amazing. Like,
Yeah.
that's not some, like, simple task to do. Like, she had to work so hard. And even with that whole process, when she went to, like, the other people at the Institute, they were like, why would we invest time and money into this? It's so stupid. And she was like, I want to give everyone a sky full of stars. Like, everyone should be able to see the stars. And it's just, like, something that seems so small, but it's not, because that's something like that is so big. And the fact that, like, the stars that you look at in Lahai Roy are all because of Monier, I just think that's so beautiful.
I was actually.
You know how she
Oh,
had
sorry.
that moment. Oh, sorry. She had a moment with Rover, right, in the second part of the 3.0 story where they look at the stars together. And I feel like so many people took as just a waifu moment. Like, oh my god,
Yeah.
you know, the banner characters sitting with the MC and they're looking at the stars and it's romantic. But to me, because I watched her trailer and I know what the stars symbolize and what that means to her and how much she went through to achieve that, to me that was actually, it wasn't romantic to me, it was emotional. She's sitting next to the person who inspired her to work so hard, and she made this happen. It's a moment for her. I didn't see it as a waifu moment. I saw it as a character moment for her. And yeah, I just feel like if people actually paid attention to all the little things that Wuthering Waves puts out for each of their characters, they'd be able to see more depth in the scenes and not just treat every interaction with Rover as a waifu moment.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they when I saw that character trailer, that was the first time in a while I was like, I actually wish this character had a companion quest, and I wish that the companion quest was like set in the past, because I don't know if there's ever been like a companion quest that does that, but I kind of wish that their companion quests would explore sometimes the trailer material. But
Kind of.
it kind of.
I wish more gacha games would. Sometimes a lot of times a gacha game will release a trailer that you play through the patch story of what that trailer is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And the amount of times where I'm like, dude, I really wish they played that exact trailer in the story in this moment.
Yeah.
To really expand on
Exactly.
it. And I just wish more game devs would do that, not gonna lie.
They
And
could have
Monier's
done that.
trailer is a great example of that, right? Because it
I think
adds
it's
so much
before-
more.
Yeah, like
depth.
on the companion story quest, like they could do that where it's just like they don't have to incorporate the main character in these companion story quests. You can just play in the point of view of the character that is the person that and just go through control them and go through their past. There have been similar things along those lines. I think, Erusha, you might know, like they had similar kind of things in PGR as well, where they just play in the perspective of that character in their backstory.
Oh,
right?
yes,
They do,
yes,
don't they?
that's the thing, yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
wondering why
they do that a good amount of
in Wuthering
times.
Waves too. So they have done that before. I just don't know why they don't do it in Wuthering Waves too. I mean, they absolutely should do that.
I think
Hands
it's
down.
difficult because in PGR there's no voice acting and it's more like a visual novel.
Yeah.
So
True.
all you need is just writing and some sprites of the characters. But in Wuthering Waves, it's fully voiced, fully animated. That's like a lot of time and budget that they have to put in. Yeah. So that's probably why.
But they do it. So.
Yeah.
Okay, what about the Cyberpunk collab coming up? Y'all excited for it?
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
dude.
I almost forgot about it.
Edge Runners is one of my favorite shows. Granted, I haven't seen much anime. I'm a COVID weeb, but Edge Runners still is one of my favorite animes that I've seen out of all of them. So I'm stoked for the collab. I cannot wait. I hope it's done justice and it's like we get content and the characters look great and play great. And fingers crossed, we'll see. We'll
But I
see.
mean,
We'll see.
Kudo did the Devil May Cry collab with Punishing Gray Raven, and they actually
Amazing.
in that collab,
Great collab.
it was so much better than the Devil May Cry Gacha game. Like that
Yes,
thing is an
by
abomination
far.
of a game.
Yep.
But the Devil May Cry collab, the fact they brought back the original voice actors that voiced, Dante,
Dante Virgil.
yeah, and
Yep.
Virgil, and they had the actual attack animations and strings that were so beautifully done, and like the actual character models themselves were stunning. Like everything was recreated so perfectly. I have, in theory, a lot of hope, a lot of expectations for the Cyberpunk collab, but we've had collabs in other games that have been very poorly received. So I mean, it could end up ultimately underwhelming. I don't know, but I mean, I also, I'm excited for it. I think.
I haven't seen Edgerunners, so I'm like, it's on my to-watch list. I know it's on my
so
to-watch
good.
list. I will, but yeah, I'll get going on that.
Warning: it is a gory, like,
It
Really?
can
a
get
lot
a bit,
happens.
it's like a bit of body horror type stuff as well. Like every now and then.
Wow.
It's kinda like,
They
I thought it was
don't censor anything. It goes. I think it's great though. I grew up in New York City, like really poor in the rough neighborhood, so I felt so seen in that show. And the fact that none of it was censored, I'm like, oh my god, like this is actually how rough it can be, but in a future sci-fi like setting, right? Yeah, I'm a nerd.
I thought it was
for all
funny
that,
the different reactions to the collab in Global compared to JP. Like when it was like announced, Global was like, "Oh my god, everyone's freaking out." When JP was like, "What is this?" Because it's not really known over here, like, at all.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was like when the music was like playing in the live stream, all Ian was like, "Oh, I heard the song. It's Edrunners," and everyone was freaking out. And Japan was like, even after the name was announced, was like, Edrunners. We just had no idea what it was.
I don't think
I have
Edgerunners
heard,
was
like-
nearly as big in JP. I don't see it
wasn't.
around here at all.
I do know that's not the bigger CCs. I know it's Slipperzetsu because when I went out with for dinner with him the other week, like he said, like after it was announced, he went and watched it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it needs more attention." And he was like recommending it to the other CCs as well. So yeah, it's not going to be as hype over here, but I still think they might enjoy it.
All right. Well, I guess we could just call that there, unless there's anything else you guys want to discuss about 3.0 or 3.1, or have any final thoughts at all.
My final thoughts would be all of y'all are absolutely fantastic. I haven't had like a deep discussion on the lore and the story from so many different perspectives. I learned a lot from y'all. Y'all are amazing. Please keep making content. It's so nice having so many creators like just sticking to the game and providing so many perspectives and sticking to their perspective, not feeling pressured to change it or get involved in other stuff. It's really great. Y'all are refreshing and great. So
I mean,
thank
that's
you
the
for having
point.
me, Stix.
Absolutely. That was a goal. Get as many, decent content creators, good content creators as possible. Just chat about the game, have fun, not be overrun with, toxicity or hate or malicious intent or tribalism or anything, and just kind of chill. Because I think
we need more of this in the EN Wuwa community.
Yes.
Exactly.
For
Oh, God,
Exactly.
For sure, absolutely.
So for future patches, if you guys are interested, and if chat as well is interested in having you guys back, maybe individually, separately, or all together, cumulatively for 3.2 future patches. If you guys are interested, you can.
Post Luke. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so you might be too emotionally
Don't mind it.
devastated,
Just want to talk about Luke. Any excuse for Luke.
but you guys are welcome back, and I'd love to do future podcasts with each of you separately or together. So
Heck yeah. It'll be a blast.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I'd be so down.
perfect. I'm glad to hear that. Thank y'all for being a part of the podcast. For everyone here in chat and for everyone watching on YouTube, if you don't follow everyone, there's Erusha, there's Comfyrini, there's Ryuuku Sensei, Sevy, the beautiful guy in the middle, Unrealdreamer, and Zora. So follow them on social media, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all that good stuff. And thank you guys again for being a part of the podcast. I'll hopefully see a lot of you for the 3.2 one. follow
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you for
Thank you
having
guys
me.
for being here.
It
It was a
nice to
pleasure.
meet y'all.
Nice to meet you.
It was
Have a
nice to
great
meet
day, you guys.
too.
You too. Enjoy
too.
dinner.
Have a great one.
And that is it. Hopefully, episode 1 of the Rover cast was enjoyable for all of you. This was our first podcast together. We plan on bringing in other content creators periodically and hopefully can improve from here. But I had a great time. These are all very fun, very enjoyable content creators who actually discuss content in a video game with. Hopefully you all enjoyed as much as we all enjoyed actually discussing it. I know you think that you just hit the end of the video, and technically, yeah, you have. And I know your first reaction is to close out of it at this juncture, but don't. No, instead, I urge you to take a moment here and click one of the videos on screen that are coming up in just a moment so you remain up to date with everything going on in the gacha genre. Trust me, you are not going to regret doing so. Stay flaccid.